What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Ethereum today, ETH, USD. It is the 5th day of November, and here we are sitting at about $3,400 with 4 days, 8 hours left in this week here. We've seen a massive correction this week. Overall, Ethereum from a high to a low this week has dropped 21%. That's wild, right? Bitcoin dropped 21% overall from its high back on October 6th to its low yesterday, 21%. And Ethereum has done that basically just in the last couple of days. It's crazy. Crazy volatility here. Massive move up. I can't believe that we went all the way down to $3,000, but here we are. $3,000 nonetheless. The fact that we have broken back below this area of resistance is not ideal, but it's okay, right? Where we are from a low to a high, we're right at the 382. We literally bounced right off the 382, which in the midst of a powerful reaction like this, pulling back to the 382 is actually a really good thing. It's actually a very good thing, and it's very, what's the word I want to look for that I want to use? Normal, very common whenever you are recovering and you are moving higher to new all-time highs, right? So this overall, I was thinking that this was something of like a bull flag just relevant to this low here. But I'm wondering if this overall consolidation phase is relevant to the overall move itself, because this is a lot bigger than we had originally assumed it was going to be. At any rate, regardless of what kind of pattern it is or it isn't, whatever it might be, this is a nice bounce off the 382, and it's a very proper reaction. I mean, here we are less than a day after this low here, and we're almost about a day away from there. We've had a very spectacular reaction so far. I want to look at the short-term stuff, look at the long-term stuff, see where we're going. Do we have lower to go is the question. I know a lot of people probably assume that the low is in, but it could be. It's very possible that it is. It's more possible now than it has before. Is this just a low of which we go lower from, just like here, or is this the low that propels us to new all-time highs, right? Let's see if we can answer that. So hit the like button, subscribe, and let's get into it, all right? Looking at the 1 hour time frame, the MACD was pretty beat up, pretty bearish, and we've actually seen some recovery there. We're showing some signs of bullishness now, but overall, the 1 hour MACD is bearish. The stochastics are very bullish, and the RSI is also bullish because we have a bit of a higher low, higher high trend going on right now. We've broken out of our lower high trend here. I really think that we are setting up a, what's the word I'm looking for, an upward sloping trend, but we might be at a point of resistance here, an area that we found resistance before plenty of times, just below, just above, whatever, but just in this general area. It might make sense that we come down, we find a higher low within this range, and then we continue to build. So perhaps over the hours to come, by the time you guys watch this video, perhaps there is a little bit of a pullback here. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I can see it on the RSI. Maybe we continue to push from here, but we are at a point to reject. So just calling for that just by default that we could pull back a little bit from here. And if we do pull back, from this low, taking into consideration this low to this high here, assuming that is the high, 3,400, maybe we pull back to about 3270, right at that 382. Maybe we pull back to 3180, 3160, something in there, find a higher low, and then continue to move up. If I'm wrong, then we'll just keep moving higher, and that's fine if we do. There's not really any reason to find resistance here other than, again, maybe the RSI. There's not really any reason to find resistance here. It's very possible that by the time you watch this video, instead of moving down, perhaps we moved up a little bit more, and then we move down, then we find a higher low, but it's taken from a different high. So perhaps we don't go as low as originally projected. Let's look at the 4 hour time frame. We'll zoom out a little bit. 4 hour time frame here. Looking at the RSI is definitely beat up, very beat up, but you do have some sort of a double bottom at play here, right? A little double bottom in your RSI. You really haven't seen the reaction come from that yet, right? I think what you've got here is some kind of like W shape, and this should take you to the overbought zone if I'm correct, and that would mean then that over the coming days, probably going into the end of the week here, the end of the business week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we should see some recovery for Ethereum. And again, the question is this the low, or is it a low of which we consolidate and then we build and we go lower still? Is this bearish structure that we're forming? And the way to answer that is, if we find resistance here consistently, or maybe we even go up a little bit above there, if we find resistance here, if we can't get a day to get above about $3,800 on a daily closing basis, and we just continue to consolidate around this level here, then yeah, perhaps we do move lower. I doubt that we do it right now. I doubt that we move lower right now, but maybe over the days, maybe over the weeks to come, by the end of the month, we could really determine that we do have lower to go. I don't I don't forecast this happening. I don't foresee this happening. But again, that's what happened here. That's what happened here. Might it happen here? It's possible. It's something to consider at the very least. If we do want to break out, if we do want to see higher prices, we want to validate this as a low, I think it'd be very, what's the word I want to look for? Necessary for a day to close above like $3,800. If we can close above $3,800, I think that everything's going to be fine. Okay, closing a day above $3,800 validates this as a low. And not only that, but the more robust this reaction is, I think the better it off will be as well. I mean, sometimes after a massive crash, you do kind of meander. Maybe you get a slightly lower low or a higher low, whatever, and then you move up. Oftentimes enough, we do meander a little bit, but we'll see. 4-hour RSI, again, double bottom. Stochastics look bullish, making me think that we would be productive going into the days to come as well. The MACD is terrible, but some of the lowest readings on the histogram we've seen in quite some time, and some of the lowest readings on the oscillator as well. Might we be at a point of which we can bounce? I think it's possible. You know, you do have bullish divergence on your oscillators at least. You know, that's something, but not a whole lot to go off of with the 4-hour MACD there. The daily time frame, you are looking to bounce here. What's nice about the stochastics is that you've got the blue line back out of the oversold zone, but you need the orange line also to be pointed upwards and outside the oversold zone. When that happens together in combination, we should be seeing this thing go back up to the overbought area, and that could provide days, if not weeks, worth of growth. Typically, the stochastics go from overbought to oversold, overbought to oversold. That doesn't mean that you're making huge strides every time, right? You know, for example, from here, when you went oversold to overbought, look at the massive movement you made. But here, when you went overbought to oversold, it wasn't really that big of a move down. You just kind of consolidated. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to see a massive move up. It just depends on what we do. But if we're consolidating here, if by the time the stochastics are overbought and we're still kind of in this range here, then at that point we might know that, hey, perhaps we do have lower to go. And again, that should come into view over the next couple of weeks here, over the next week or so. Looking at the MACD, very bearish here on the MACD. The RSI is bearish as well, but we are at the same areas that we found support before and before throughout this cycle. We typically don't get too much lower than where we've seen here, right? We have seen lower prices than this. We've definitely seen lower readings than this in the RSI, but typically you don't go much lower than where you are now. So I do think that we're going to find support here. You have lower lows and lower highs in this range. Perhaps we come down and we get one last little stab down. You get a double bottom, bullish divergence, whatever it might be, and with that you could see a slightly lower low, at least as far as closing price goes. But I think that we are in that realm of support, right? If we were to go lower, again, this 382 likely prevails as an area for support. We didn't technically hit it. We got very close. We didn't technically hit it. Maybe we have to go to $3,000, and once we hit 3,000, that's whenever we find support. Maybe we get some kind of a double bottom, a tweezer bottom, something like that. You know, like we did here. Literally just like this right here, right? Where you found support, and then 2 days later, boom, you found a slightly lower low, and then that was your low, right? Maybe that's exactly what we do here. I don't know. But looking at the daily time frame, we're definitely beat up. We're definitely exhausted to the downside. This might be a good time to send for the bulls to send in some reinforcements and pick the price up. If we're looking at this from a high to a low and assuming that this is the low, to validate this as a low, the first step, I think, would be to close a day above the 382, which is at $3,700. I think closing above $3,800 might be even more important than that, more significant, because $3,800, that's kind of the low points of these daily closing areas here on a daily basis, right? Closing points, prior resistance back here as well. Kind of in resistance points here. I think 3,800 is more significant. Closing above 4,000 will be a big deal as well, but I think 41.21, the golden ratio, will be a big deal. Might be the most significant level. A lot of people are going to get excited when Ethereum gets back above 4,000, but I would get most excited when we're above 41.20. When we close above there, not just wick above there, but close above there on a daily basis, back above the golden ratio, that should allow us to continue to progress higher. And at that point in time, we should be thinking about prices that are not just above $5,000, but even above $6,000 going into the end of this month. I wouldn't be surprised still if we saw an $8,000 price or something near there by the end of November. Certainly expecting this by the end of the year, if not higher. I don't have anything else that I want to say. I've talked enough. I think I've said everything I need to say. If you guys like the video, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. The weekly RSI does have lower lows. You do have higher lows overall, so that's nice. Stochastics are at a point to bounce, and the MACD, you're red right now, but you are overall positive, so that's okay. I got nothing else for you guys. So hit the like button. Take care. I'll see you on the next one. I think a good kind of note to leave off on might be that regardless of what Ethereum does, we do not want a week to close below $3,044. We don't want to close below there. It's okay if over the coming days we wick below there. It's okay. But you do not want to see a week close below this level. Okay? We don't want that. That's the line in the sand that needs to hold is like $3,040. If we can close above there, whatever week it might be, this week, next week, any week, as long as we're closing above there, I think we're fine. If we close below there, you guys are going to hear me start to get kind of bearish on the crypto markets as a whole. Anyways, ta-ta for now. Hit the like button. Thank you. Bye-bye.